MarkMagic. So I'm the VP of Operations here at Cybra. Along with me, I have Ken Hunter, who many of you probably know. He's one of our senior tech support guys. He's going to do a lot of the kind of live demoing. And also on the line is Phil, one of our marketing guys. He's the one who's been sending you all these emails. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to attend this. And hopefully, actually, I'm going to guarantee you will see something that you didn't know you could do with MarkMagic during the next 50 to 60 minutes. A couple quick housekeeping items. You're all muted. We have close to 100 folks on here. There's no way we can open up the mics and have people talking back and forth. You can use and we encourage you to use the question option. If you see that on the GoToWebinar, it's probably on the right-hand side of your screen. You can go ahead and type a question anytime that you want. And hopefully we'll have time at the end. We can answer some of those questions, and if not, we'll certainly get back to you afterwards and answer the questions. And we're going to be doing these, we're planning to do it on every quarter. So some of the questions or ideas that you folks have, we may introduce to the whole group in the next webinar. So please keep that in mind, okay? So, and we're going to try to kind of keep this quick. We're trying to spend more than 5 minutes on these 5 things to kind of keep things moving, and then we're going to show you some sneak peek things at the end as well. So, so I guess if I could do a drum roll, I would do it now, because you don't even know what these 5 things are. So let's see what they are. Okay, here they come. This is what you're going to be shown today. These 5 items. So, as many of you know, MarkMagic is multi-platform. So we have MarkMagic, we'll call it Classic, out there on the AS400. We also have MarkMagic PI, standing for Platform Independent. And we have a mix of those customers on this call right now. So of these 5 items, only one of them is dedicated to System I only, and that's the first one. But let's just go. So you folks on the PI world and the Windows and Linux environments, just stick with us through this first item, and everything else is completely relevant on any platform. So looking up a database when printing spool file forms. So hey, here on the System I world, we have these spool files, we have an invoice, we have a statement or something like that, and there's some other data that we would like to print on our nice fancy MarkMagic form or our PDF form of MarkMagic that's not in the spool file. How can you do that without calling a programmer and saying, hey, I need this PO number now to print over here? So there's actually ways within MarkMagic Enterprise that allow you to look up data from database files at the same time. That's number one. Number two, quickly add variable graphics and forms or to your forms and labels. So you're all used to static graphics. Variable graphics is not really a new concept, but many folks have not seen it before. Ken's going to show you how you can quickly add different company logos depending on the form you're printing. Another good one is like looking up your SKU number and actually having a picture of your product print dynamically on your form or pick list or anything like that. You can do all that, no programming involved. Number 3, templates. Another thing that's been around for a long time, but I'm amazed at the number of people that are not aware of it. You can actually bring in images of labels or forms, things that you want to create like from scratch, that you're just like, oh man, I got stuck, I got to make this invoice form. How do I do it? I want it to look like this. If you know what it looks like, you have a picture, you can actually bring it right into the JMagic Designer and design right on top of it. No rulers, no looking back and forth from another piece of paper to make it look the way you want. It's really great for compliance labels. You don't have to measure an inch down and an inch over, so he's going to show you that. Number 4, trim and replace. This is a newer feature we've added to our rules and conditions option called Print Transformer. But it's kind of neat that you can actually change the data as it's being sent to the form right on the fly. So I think Ken's going to show where maybe your database file has dashes in it for your SKU number or something like that, and you don't want the SKU number in your barcode. So we can actually just strip those right out, no matter where they are in the database, and even replace it with other information. And the last one is centering and text block. We got a couple questions on this as people registered. So the centering of text, pretty simple, and also the ability to do text block, so like legal information and that type of thing, how to quickly do that instead of little pieces at a time. So again, feel free to ask the questions from the text, the question block, and you can also email us anytime you want. At help@cyber.com, we actually have some folks monitoring that email, so if you want to send something to that while we're speaking, you can do that as well. Okay? So, anything else? Ken, did I miss anything?
Sounds great to me. Can't wait to show it.
All right. So why don't we turn it over to Mr. Hunter, who's going to run through these 5 things, and then we'll jump back to me afterwards, and I'm going to show you a sneak peek on some new things we're working on in MarkMagic.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, Chuck. And let's just jump right into this. Number one, looking up data from a database when printing spool file forms. So here I'm JMagic. I've got a form that's been designed already from a spool file. It prints data from a held spool file. If we just jump into one of these text fields, we can actually browse out and see the spool file information that's already been mapped. All the orange is text fields. You got an address info up there. There's your detail. There's some total information down there. This is a real simple one here. But you know, the boss, he came to you and said, "Hey, we need to print the email on these. We need some extra information."
Call programmer. Call the programmer. That's the only way you can get an email address in the spool files. Call programmer.
Get a programmer to what? Change the spool file.
In a couple of weeks, it'll be done. I'm sure programmers have better things to do than add data to a spool file. But in a couple of weeks, you'll have it done.
No thanks.
Okay. All right.
Let's use MarkMagic for that. So a great thing here is we have some information in the spool file already, the customer number. And you can see it up there in the top right. We got a 10050, for example, on this first page. And we're printing it already. Back out of here. We're already printing it here using a data field. So that data field's mapped to the spool file just like you're used to. A great thing though is we've got on our server, we've got our main customer database. And it is ordered by customer number. Keyed, the database key field. You can see for that first page, for example, 10050 customer, we can actually take that data from the spool file, tell MarkMagic, hey, by the way, you know, this information is also accessible in a database out there. And I'll show you the options in JMagic there, how to trigger all of that. But just to show you, in this database, there are a bunch of other pieces of information that weren't in the spool file that we can now grab. So if we go all the way over, there's email. So there is an email address in this database. So we're going to pull in that email address from the physical file using that bit of data that's already in the spool file. So here's that data field, CS key. If we double click it, there's a few things that you have to have set properly. First of all, the field name. Field name when you're doing spool file forms, it isn't super important for just regular pulling in data from a spool file, but when you want to use this data field as a key, you have to make sure the field name matches the field name in your database. So CS key is the name of the field in that database, that customer master. The length and decimals, that must also match, so we have a 5-position numeric field here. And then usage, KA, that's the most important part. This is form composer right here, this usage, KA. That turns on the whole triggering. So MarkMagic sees that and says, oh, this data field, this is a special data field here. And if we look on the settings panel here, this is what Chuck likes to call hybrid fields.
Exactly.
So,
it's doing two things at once. It's taking spool file data and database file data. It's like the glue that brings it all together. Yep.
So this field, it's pulling data from the spool file from line 2, column 68, like it always has been for all these years. But now you're telling it, hey, you're also in database, EXCUST physical file 2, PF2, in library of examples, and you're a key in that file. So this field here is set up properly now to pull data from a spool file and go out to that database. So this field's set up properly now, and now all we need to do, super simple, just add more data fields, create a new data field, and we just simply browse out to not the spool file now. Remember, that data is not in the spool file, it's in a database now, so we can browse out to the database.
It's a brand new information we want to put on here. We want to print on this form that's not in the spool file.
So we can browse to the database now. We can pick any one of these fields. You can pick one from the middle, one from the beginning, doesn't matter, the order. There's the email. So I'll pick the email, click OK, click OK. It brought in the field name, length, set all that up for me, put in the file there for me, everything's fine. And we just hit OK. we've got a new data field on the format now, like you guys are used to with using data fields and Starlink. In order to print it, we need to create a new text field,
Yep.
Starlink.
So add it, yeah, he's just going to add it as a text field. He's going to link to that data field. And you'll notice Ken throughout the presentation is going to be using the preview function within JMagic, which is, we'll call that a little bonus. Some of you folks probably didn't know you could do that either, but you can actually preview spool file data, live spool file data, database file data right within the JMagic canvas and see exactly how it's going to look with your real data before you even print or PDF a single format.
Yep, so I've just added the text field. I linked it to that new data field that is from the database. Just to prove you again, if we look at settings, 00 for spool file, it's not pulling any data from spool file. So we do a preview from a spool file, all pages. And look at that, khunter@cyber.com, that email address from the database got pulled in because customer 10050, and we just toggle on through. Let me bring this guy down for you. We go next. Page 2 of the spool file. There's Aaron. Kennedy, cyber.com comes in. And next, Greg.
Mr. Coletto, yeah, got them all. So this is all information, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be an email address, and you can even chain out to other database files within your system. Maybe you wanted a PO number or something like that. It could be chained from another field, That's all fair game without any programming whatsoever.
Oh yeah, chain off of a chain, and from another base element. Yeah, this is just one little easy, quick lookup, but yeah, it gets real fun.
Nope.
Yeah, that option that was number 1. Looking up data.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, and this applies number 2, and the rest of this applies for all MarkMagic customers. Doesn't matter for AS400, Windows, Linux, AIX, Macintosh, and this is all. They can all use this stuff.
Yep.
Sorry, Ken.
Oh, no problem. Variable graphics. So you probably noticed already there's a graphic on this form. When I was doing the preview and going through each page, it was the same graphic on every page, and that's great and all. But now we want to spice it up a bit. Every customer, we want to have a different graphic show up. So what we can do now, if just take a quick peek at this graphic, you're used to adding static graphics, which would be heading, star heading graphic, and that would just give you the same graphic on every page. I can remove this graphic now, and let me show you. I've actually got a few graphics already converted. You would use JMagic to, I'll show you in a moment, to upload and convert a graphic, but I've got a couple out there already in my gallery for PCL laser printers. We've got 3 graphics out there already, a MarkMagic logo, an EdgeMagic logo, and that one logo that we already had earlier. I'll close out my email, sorry about that. The graphics, they have 3 attributes, graphic name, graphic number, and a description, and that's all customizable by you. You can name it whatever you want, give it whatever number you want. And if you notice in the description here, we've got a customer number, that same one we've been dealing with from that CS key field. We're going to actually reference this data and use that CS key to go out to this gallery and pull in matching graphics that have the same numbers. So we can add a new graphic. Not star heading now, it's star link. So same as before with creating that text field, we can link the graphic now to data, to CS key. So we bring that in, and it's not going to print the data, so we're actually going to use that data, and MarkMagic still needs to know what is that data. When I go out to the graphics gallery, like I mentioned earlier, there's 3 attributes, name, number, description. We have to tell MarkMagic, oh hey, when you go out there, look at the description, look at the name, look at the number to try to find a match. So if you remember, we had it in the description. I'll set that to D. That's reference type. And that's the most important field when doing these variable graphics, reference type.
Right. So it knows where to look for the match. It's going to look in the description of the graphic, and you have a whole length of 30 you can put in there. So you can have SKU numbers and all kinds of stuff in there. So that's what we have. I'm sorry, Ken, I got my side story. So we have like customers that use this for for like packing lists and things like that. Whereas I know one's like a big like a light manufacturer. They have thousands of images of the different light fixtures that they sell, and
All
at
right.
print time they use variable graphics. So they load, and you can load all these up all at once, all 1,000, and the SKU number matches, the description of the data coming through, and it automatically, prints the image next to that SKU number dynamically, page by page. But
Yeah, right in the detail, right next to every detail line item, there was a
right,
picture of a product. That was cool. That was
yeah,
awesome form. For this one here, yeah, we got just the company logo. We'll do a preview now. Same spool file as before. And we see we've got the MarkMagic logo now showing up for customer 10050. We go next. There's the EdgeMagic logo and it's swapped. And 21250, that's the one we don't have one yet for. So just show you quickly uploading a graphic. I've got one on my computer here using JMagic. Very simple utilities. And we'll just load up from my desktop. I've got the Cyber logo. Bring that in. So it's actually uploading the source JPEG image, bringing that up. And I'm just going to convert it for laser printer. There's some settings that you have to have set properly, like the resolution. You can scale things, rotate the image, change the quality. I always like to use the highest quality conversion. So I'll just do convert here. And if you remember, we were using the description for that lookup for the variable graphics. So I'm going to type in the description 21250 and hit OK.
So you're just bringing it in really as a regular graphic right now. You could use it as a static graphic somewhere if you wanted to too. It's just
Yeah, there it is. Number 4 I brought in, and now we have 21250.
Mm-hmm.
And let me.
So if you preview again, now that you have that graphic in there that matches that number.
Next. So there's the two that were there originally, and we go next, and we have the Cyber logo that I just brought in using 21250, and it picked it up. So that's very cool.
Yeah, no programming or any of that stuff. This is great for like if you're like drop shipping or you have multiple companies, under you, then you have to switch graphics, but the format is the same, but you want a different logo on there, you can use it. It's a real quick way to make everything look really, polished and consistent with the rest of your documents.
Yeah, totally. So
what else we got? Was that number 2? We're on number 3.
Number 2.
All right, let's hear number 3.
So we'll be back to this form in a bit. At the bottom, you can see something there that'll be fun to deal with, fun to work with. So we.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt because we have all kinds of questions coming in.
Yeah.
See one. So we have one. Does the graphic already need to be the correct size, or can JMagic convert the size for you? So
definitely
absolutely. JMagic can change the size right when you convert it, and even afterwards, you can actually change the scaling right on the screen of your image. Yep.
Oh, it has full control over the scale, absolutely, and rotation as well.
Yep.
Thanks for that. So we'll come back to this form. So let me close this down. Templates. So you've got a new requirement from a certain company to design this new label, and here's an email attachment. We want this label to be designed. They sent me a JPEG scanned image of a label, and I want to do this in JMagic and make it as easy as possible. We allow you to actually bring this actual image in and use it as a template. You can trace right over it, and instead of having to print one out manually and look at it on your desk and back and forth and rulers and stuff like that, like Chuck was mentioning, I'll show you how easy this is. Really cool.
It is very cool. Now, we've had this for so long, and I'm embarrassed with the number of accounts or customers that don't know about it.
So I've got a zebra label here. Moving over to one of our zebra drivers, and I've already tried to add a couple text fields on, eyeing it up, and I think I got pretty close with a few of these text fields just looking at the label on the side. But let's bring that in as a template. So under the utilities menu again, it's not graphics this time, it's going to be grids and templates. Utilities, grids and templates. Import template. On my desktop again.
So this is just a picture. So someone supplied you with a picture of like, hey, this is what I want this label to look like. This could be a form. This could be anything. But as long, if you have a picture of it, you can bring it in just like this as a template.
So it's brought in. There's no need to convert it to anything. Like you saw me before, I had to convert for laser and set all that up. So this is the JPEGs loaded up to the AS400 now, and or when you have BI, it'll be loaded up into your database. So the only thing now that's left to do is to attach the template to the format. You have to tell it what template you want to use, and that's done under the edit option here. So format, edit.
Yep.
So this screen here is familiar to you. If you, I mean, you get this when you make a new format. So maybe you've been poking around in these tabs and seeing all the crazy options that are out there. And if we look, now there's an option for templates. And you might have been wondering what that was for, and this is what it's for. So we go, and there's that template.
And you could have tons of templates in there, and then you can use them for any print driver or any of that stuff. You just happen to have one here, but that's the one you just brought in. Yep.
So there it is. It's attached to the format now, and all that's left is to toggle it on and off using the button at the top, turn on template.
Look at that.
So very cool. And all that's left now is for you to, I'll drop a few fields on here, and you can just draw right over the top.
Right over the top. So like, especially these compliance labels, I've been doing this for a long time. They when you get the compliance labels, like from Belk distributors here, they send you a whole packet. Like here's a PDF with like 20 pages in it. They tell you how far away the line should be from the top and the left, and the barcode density, and what font size, and all that. And you're trying to like figure all this out. You got a ruler and all that. With the template feature, zero. I don't bring out a ruler. I don't do anything. I just design right on top of the picture they supplied me. And I know everything matches up perfectly, and I send that for certification, and off you go. Again, it could be for anything, it could be for a form, it doesn't matter. It's a really quick way to do it. You just draw right on top.
Yeah, in the barcode down here, we create a new barcode, click down here, pick the barcode type, which we all know it to be the UCC 128 or GS1 128 barcode, and just regular link to your barcode's data. So I'm going to bring that in. And I'm not even going to try to figure all this out here, the narrow bar width and the height. Let me just hit OK here. We'll use these handles here. We'll just drag it right up here. Let me check that out.
Match what's on the screen. Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. There's that guy. And even this text field here. Let me drop this guy on here. And the Mark IV data. So we'll here's that. And that one I know just by looking at the template in the background that it's a different font, which is font 51 outline. And then even on that one, I can drag that guy up.
I mean,
so let me save this and see how it's turning out here. If we do a preview, I've got some sample data back there. There's that, the barcode.
Look at that, it matches right up there.
Yeah, very cool stuff.
So if we gave you another 6 or 7 minutes, you could probably finish this complete format. But we don't have that time, Ken. We're moving on, I think, right?
I can totally do this for you if you want.
I know. We appreciate that, but we're going to move on to number 4?
All right. Okay. Well, hey, you can see templates is awesome. And what you can also do with the button up here, and just to see how you're doing, you can just toggle it right off and just toggle back on and off. So it's just an image in the background, allows you to trace right over. So yeah, that was option, or not, I keep saying option, was number 3, using templates to quickly design the formats. Number 4, trim and replace data. So this is a new thing in version 9, MarkMagic, and our print transformer conditional rules-based printing engine. And I'm still going to use this format here.
All right, we're going to hijack this format for another feature. That's a good idea, so we're not switching back and forth. Okay.
I'm going to add another text field on here, just for this example, and there's some sample data that I want to show you. Just going to create another link here to this data field here.
Okay.
And again, boss wants another thing done. So if we do, let me just save this and I'll do another preview and show you what we're dealing with here. This text field has some dashes in it,
Look at that.
And the boss doesn't want dashes in the data anymore.
Oh, the programmer. Yeah, I call the programmer again. He's got to change the file and the data in the file because he's going to have to add a new field to the file because we obviously want these dashes for some reason, but now we don't want to put it on this particular format, so we're going to have to add a whole other set.
Yeah.
One with
Dashes,
the dash, one without.
they got to go.
Oh.
And maybe you've got some veteran MarkMagic user that says, oh, please, I can just do this really easily with star linking. I'm going to create a new text field and link to only position 1 to 3. And I want to link to position 5 to 9, and then that'll bypass the dashes, no problem. Not
silly.
Not in this case. If you look on the next record, dashes are in position 2 now. And dashes
you have no idea what the dashes are going to show up in this data. It's already in your database. So you're saying there's a way for me to strip these out with zero programming. I can do it like right within MarkMagic, JMagic. Okay.
Yep. Print transformer conditions, and right at the top in JMagic is the option for print transformer, adding a condition to a format. So right now we don't have any on the format yet. All we need to do is add a new condition, and these conditions are super simple. There's 2 things to them. Let me just first of all name. There's a test and an action. So if the test comes back true, the action is performed. So we need to add a test first. We can test all sorts of things. You can even test data that's on the label. So maybe just for a certain user, maybe just for a certain customer you want the dashes to go, we can pick a data field. Just when the customer is this, just when the customer is that, only remove the dashes. So you can test that. You can test environment variables just when user Ken is printing, and when user Chuck prints, the dashes stay. But for this example, Mr. Bossman wants those dashes gone all the time.
Get rid of those dashes.
So always. There's an option for always. So the test, very simple test, always, and then the action. You perform actions directly onto the fields themselves, so the action is going to be on that data field. So that data field, the one we're linking to, found it there in the list. Okay. That's the one that has all the dashes in it, and we click on it and click OK. And for those of you, maybe you have print transform already using version 8, version 7 MarkMagic. This section down here in the interface is new in version 9 MarkMagic. Remove and replace, and all you need to do is toggle it on so you can gain access to that in the new JMagic 9 print transformer. There's a couple options even here, so it's not just removing. I mean, we definitely could just remove the dashes. You can even replace data, so you can replace dashes with like an asterisk. So there's a lot user imagination. I know there's a ton you can do, but for this example, just going to remove
let's just get rid of the dashes. Maybe we want to barcode this information. We don't want the dashes in the barcode. Okay.
Yep. Always trim the dash. So that's my condition.
Piece of cake.
If I got one condition added on here, I'll click OK, click OK. That condition now is part of this format. Anytime you print the label, using our print command, using a job, a monitor maybe, anytime this label is printed, that condition will be processed. And if it comes back true, if we check out, let me just save the format now so I can generate the new preview.
This is live data now. From a database. Look at that, no dashes. Yeah.
I can prove it to you. If you want me to go back out to the database, those dashes are still there. And we go to the next one, and even then, remember those dashes were in different spots. So those dashes are definitely gone.
So that's like a cool little feature that, granted, most people, you probably don't care about it, but it's nice to know, and that's part of this webinar, kind of showing you some things that you didn't know about. So kind of put that in the back of your mind, and that's, you can do a lot more than what Ken just showed, but kind of plant a little seed there, the flexibility and the power of it.
Yeah, number 4, trim and replace data. So, hope you like that. So number 5, text block in centering. Centering, for the longest time, it's always me being in support, I get those questions, and it's up until MarkMagic 9, it's always been, well, maybe you can move the fields, maybe you can pad the data with spaces. It was a lot of little trickery I had to do to get centering. And
so the deal being, like, you have a variable fields or a bunch of variable fields all length of 20 or 30, and you could have different lengths. There you go, different values going.
So
like how would you center that? Yeah.
Like I would, well, for that first one, I would just, let's move this over and then move that over, and let's see how that, that would probably work, right? Maybe just for that one record, but then the next record, no. Let me just move all these guys. Alignment option back to the left now. It's simple. It's real quick. Now in JMagic, when you go into these fields, you go into the font tab. Maybe you guys back in your version 8 and 7, and you go into this font tab and you see alignment was grayed out, and you're like, why can't I center? And you call us and we said sorry, but now in version 9 it's there, center.
Just like that. Just like Word. I mean, it's kind of what you would expect to be able to do. It's like, oh, I want to center this. You go in, Microsoft Word, click center, and there it is. It's centered.
Center.
Neat thing here is, like, now we're taking, MarkMagic is taking care of that dynamic data and centering it record by record, page by page, which I guess you'll show in a preview here. Yep. And there's the next one. Everything's centered again. We're doing all that work. Very slick.
Yeah, so that's the new one, MarkMagic 9, centering the data for you. So that was a real quick example there. And back to our other form to take a quick peek at text blocks.
Text block. And text block is a feature within anyone with MarkMagic PI has text block, and then on the AS400 world, that's what we call the enterprise license, which means you can do labels and forms. You have this capability, which most people have.
So there's this entity down here. You can see I've already got a bunch of stuff typed out. Let me just show you how people used to do it.
Oh yeah, this is good.
The old way of creating text blocks. So
like legal information, long strings of text, and I've been here like 21 years, so I know better than most how painful it was. Like Ken's showing, you had to do 30 positions at a time, pretty much.
So you had to line it all up, make sure it's all. I'm just going to close this.
It'll drive you crazy. Yeah.
So back to my other form that we had earlier with the text block on it, and it's just a new field type at the top. Create text block. When you click that, you would just drag a box around the area where you would want to create that text block. I've got one here set up with some information already. And when I go to the text block data, you can see I've got some information already there for you. Some information from our.
But you could like copy and paste stuff in here if you needed to. You got a bunch of legal information. You can just copy and paste it right into this text block field, and then you can even reuse this text block on other forms if you wanted to.
And it's been around for a little while, and that's great. Some of you are using it, and I like what you've done. But we're in a things you might not know webinar here. So maybe you didn't know that you can actually change the look and feel of individual elements within the text block. So for example, this MarkMagic 9, all you need to do is drag over some of the data, and all this information at the bottom becomes available. You can change style. I can change this guy to bold, for example. You can pick other things down here, as always. You want to emphasize that. Make that guy italic.
So you're changing these things right inside of the text block itself.
So you can change even point size and the actual font. So all this is Arial by default, but I can maybe add some more information down here and just drag over that. Change the font to something else.
There you go.
Yeah, so when it prints out, you'll actually get that information showing up with the changes that I had there in the text block. So it's very cool stuff there to be able to use the text block, and you see it's showing you here the highlighted yellow, italics, and the different fonts. So awesome. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Ken. I'm gonna jump back to me. It's not all about you, Ken. I gotta show some stuff here. So back to my little PowerPoint here. What do I have for the next slide? Oh, curveball. We're going to get into what is Cyber working on for the next version. We don't always do this. We don't always clue in the customer base on some of the new features we're working on. So just a few of them that I thought you guys would like to know. There's Phil's marketing spin is curveball. Is the ability, so here all I have here is just a picture just within JMagic, happens to be of our Cyber invoice, which you may have seen, at least once a year and stuff when we ship it out to you guys. But it's obviously designed in MarkMagic. So this is like kind of odd because like I said, I've been here for 20 years and I'm amazed at the number of times someone has asked me, we love the forms, we love the box fields and all that stuff, but for these corners of the boxes, we would like them to be rounded. Can you round them? I've always had to say no. But in the next version of MarkMagic, if I click on this, you'll see everything just got rounded. We have that ability to do rounded corners. So there's another one. It's like some of you be like, what's the big deal? But it's kind of neat, and again, it adds polish and everything to the form. This will be available with the laser drivers, so like PCL5 and PCL5 color, the Zebra even, so for thermal printers as well as Datamax, they all have that capability, and they'll be within JMagic. Obviously, there'll be an option for style if you want to have rounded corners. Along with rounded corners, you get to all of a sudden you can make circles, you can make arcs, ellipses, and all that stuff on your formats. So that's all coming in the next version. Next version is looking to be, we're going to call it 9.2 at the sometime in March, so like about 3 or 4 months out is when that'll be available. Another feature, and I use this format on purpose, as most of you know, one of the features within MarkMagic or options is the ability to PDF, Adobe PDF, anything that you print out. So a lot of times, like even these invoices, when we send them out to you guys, to our customers, we will just PDF and just email it, or from the S400 or from whatever platform we got MarkMagic running on. One of my little tricks over the years has been to, like when the PDF is created, you could hover over this part here, and you see in white text I have our website. So this is like a trick where you can't see the white on the PDF when you actually open it up, but you could hover there and then click on it, and it'll go to our website. So it's like a cheap way of kind of making the format more interactive as a PDF. The arrow turns into a hand. Same thing over here, when it sees this. In the next version of MarkMagic, we're actually making the fields a lot smarter. So no more tricks. You don't need any special fields around it. All our field types, like graphic fields, text fields, and so on, will have an extra field in them where you can actually just type in a URL. And that URL could be your website. It could be a link right to a product page or anything like that. So at print time, MarkMagic will say, if you're just going to print to a laser printer like you do now, fine, it's just going to print like it always does. But if it PDFs, it's going to look, oh wait, do they have anything special in that extra URL field for this graphic or for this item number field? And it'll be web enabled, so you can have direct links to products from your invoices or packing lists or any of that stuff. Just dynamically part of the PDF. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's coming. We have a bunch of other stuff coming in the next version as well. Now here's another thing, and this is further out. Super sneak peek. This is probably 6 to 12 months out that I know you guys don't know about. We call it WebMagic. So it's basically, all you folks are used to using JMagic, like Ken was using before. JMagic is Windows based, and it's written mostly in Java, but you have your Windows box, your laptop, whatever. You install JMagic on there, then you fire up JMagic and you connect to your MarkMagic server on the 400 or on some other Linux box or whatever, right? So you got all these, and JMagic is free. You can install as many PCs as you want and do this designing and all that stuff. That's great. So you may have like 3 or 4 different people in your organization using JMagic. They could obviously fall out of be using different versions, not really realizing someone's missing out on some features and all that stuff. So it's a little bit of a maintenance thing, right? As far as make sure they're keep up to date. So us keeping an eye on this, we were like, you know what, this whole internet thing is really taken off, and everyone loves their browser. So why don't we, forget about it. You don't have to install JMagic anywhere. So we're going to have WebMagic. It's basically JMagic in a browser. So that means you can go to your iPhone, my Android phone, like I did yesterday. I'm actually sitting there designing a format right from my phone, from anywhere, with no downloading. So that is something that we're working on. It's really slick. And I'm going to do something that no sane, software company would do, and that is actually show you the inside workings of like this super beginning of this product. It's kind of like going into the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. I'm actually showing you behind the curtain. So I'm going to go to this. Actually, if you see this site here, I'm just going to click on it. Any of you could actually go here right now. If you go to cyber.com/webmagic, you actually see the same thing as I am. You can do it. I'd encourage you to do it from your phone just to kind of see how wild it is. And the only reason I'm showing you this, because it is not at all pretty. It's very extremely raw at this point, but I just wanted to show you, like, hey, this is what we're working on, and how snappy it is. I mean, it's really quick, which is one of the things we were worried about, putting everything in a web browser, but we figured out some cool ways and some newer technology to make things really fast. So if I just did a few things here, say I want to make a format, maybe for this color driver, call it web, whatever, right? Say OK. See how fast all this is happening? Same things that you're used to. Again, the look and feel will be totally different when we go to market, but just giving you an idea. Put in the size of your form. Say OK. There's the canvas. I can add text fields to it. Say webinar, great. I can go to, quick edit. So I can double click it like we're all used to. Look, I just double clicked it. Look how fast that was. We still have the quick edit panel down here where you can change like point sizes if you wanted to. There's alignment and all that's available. You can click and drag things around. Again, the speed in this is really neat. I'll stop in just a second. I can sit here and play all day. Add box fields, that's all part of it. We can even double click the box. We have all the similar stuff you're used to seeing. You can have different colors and shading and all part of the field and so on, and graphics and so on. Okay, so that is it. That is a sneak peek. You can go there now. Maybe for the next 15 minutes, and we're going to take it down. We're not going to let you guys go up there and play around. But that's a really neat feature that we're working on, and it connects right to your MarkMagic host, which could be running anywhere on your network or over the internet. Like right now, we're just connected localhost, but it could be anything. So that's that. Let's see what we got next here. Questions. How are we doing on time, Ken? Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We said we were going to try to keep it quick. We have, so I appreciate that. Let's. What do we got for questions? We see, and Ken, maybe I'll jump it back to you. Actually, why don't you take control back for a second, Ken? We're going to answer some of these questions. One was kind of a basic question as far as browsing out to a spool file. How did you do that? You want to show that? I can't hear you, Ken, if you're talking.
Aha.
He's back.
There we go.
Got him back. Okay.
I will bring back this form. Just a moment. Let me take this over.
Thank you for that.
How do you browse out to the spool file? That was the question.
Right.
Yeah. If you remember looking out there, there was a date field that I want to bring in. I created a new text field. I can click somewhere, use the browse button, and if I already knew my spool file's user and name, and spool file number, and all this information that you need to find a spool file on a server, you can fill all that in there. You could just browse out and find all your spool files that you've got on hold there under your name, pick it, click OK, and we'll show you a view of the spool file through the already designed fields, a view of already designed fields on your canvas. So you can kind of see, if you look side by side here, all these detail fields are orange, this text field's up here, this is all stuff that's already mapped. So this date's not mapped. If I just want to print that date, I can just drag right over it and hit OK. And then it really is that simple. I can just say date. And the key thing is, if you look on the display tab, there's actual values now and for spool, line, and column. So really it's just this text field is pulling in 10 positions worth of data from line 5, column 63. So when I hit OK, that'll print the date now from that. It'll just pull that information from that spot on the spool file. Hope that answers that for you.
I think it does. There's another one. I don't know if you use the same format or not, but back to the centering question, because we had center, we also had right justification on there. Can you show the right justification and how that works? And let's see, further on, the question was in this. Well, if you select right in the centering option, will it align a numeric column with decimals correctly for the proportional fonts? That's from Reba.
Hi, Reba. So I like how you put that proportional one in there, because obviously with numeric fields, they're already right justified. So, but with the proportional fonts, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and that'll definitely, yeah, for the zebra label that I had, if I were to choose,
that'd be the easiest way to show it
for the right. Yeah, and really, yeah, it's if you just pick right. It will, yeah. So
you're
yes.
using Helvetica, but you could be using like the outline font, which is like variable size, not constant fixed font size, and it would be right justified. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so there is right. So yeah, it was just centering the option we were going over, but yeah, we did add center and right. So thanks for catching that.
Here's a question from Cheryl, and we're jumping around here, folks. Bear with us. And this goes back to really the first item, the hybrid field. When you're looking up and using a field as a key, is it possible to use like multiple fields as keys? So if your file has like 2 or 3 or 4 keys on it, can you use it for that?
Oh yeah. So yeah, if you have 2 keys in the file, it's keyed by one database field, and then there's a second key. You're just thinking how we designed this field here. So if you had one field coming from the spool file, you would just need another field that's already in your spool file. And so this first one's KA. You would have to have another field mapped from your spool file, which is key to information. And you would also make that other field KA as well. And simply having these file names the same, we know that those fields would be a combined key. So we'll combine those 2 together to do lookups. So yes, we can do multiple key lookups, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions here. I mean, there are. Okay, you know what? We're going to leave. We will get back to you, and there's probably about 20 other questions. For the sake of time, let me just take control back. We'll kind of wrap things up a little bit. I do appreciate everybody sitting in here with us, and hope you found it useful. So as far as next steps with us, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have this once a quarter. We're going to be coming out with a webinar with 5 things you didn't know, and I guarantee you, you will see something you have not seen before for the next 20 quarters when we do these things, because there's plenty of features and functions out there. So some of the things that we're looking at for next time is AND rules. AND rules has to do with print transformer. One of the questions we had was regarding print transformer, which is really a whole webinar or 3 webinars on its own, doing conditional printing and rules and how all that stuff interrelates. Ken just showed one little small piece of that, as well as we're going to add some to the list some new edit codes that we've had brought into MarkMagic version 9 that are useful. Certainly you could check out our website. Well, actually, it's a newer website. You guys may not have even seen that. I could add that as a 6th. So it's a whole new look and feel up there. It's been there probably for like 6 months or so, but you can check it out. We have all the tutorials up there. You can check us out at LinkedIn, Twitter, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I appreciate your time. If you have questions, please email help@cyber.com, or you can even email sales@cyber.com. 2 easy email addresses to remember. We got a bunch of people watching that, and we will get back to you immediately. And we appreciate your input. If you have questions or other things you'd like to see in the next webinar, please throw that in an email. We'd be excited to hear from you. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ken. Good job.
You're welcome.
And that is it. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.